So thankful for all the many things God's been doing. So good to see Sister Jackson this morning and praying, lifting her up in prayer as well. Yes, ma'am. So glad to see you. And we got somebody else I'd really like to be able to see here. She's not able. He's not able to be here. And so we're going to lift them up in prayer as we have been. But want to continue to pray for Brother Ralph and Sister Charlotte. And I was talking to some folks yesterday. And the last time that I spoke to Brother Ralph, he conveyed to me that some of you may have not picked up on this Thursday night. I mentioned the fact that she was about to have a procedure because she was just kind of unresponsive and not coherent and that kind of thing, lungs filled up. She had been back to the hospital again, and they were getting ready to do another procedure. And they had Brother Ralph come in, and they had him sign some papers. They said that it was pretty high probability that she wouldn't make it through the procedure. She was just that bad off. But she came through that procedure, thank the Lord. But in the last few days, he explained to me that the doctors met with him and said she will not be going home. This is kind of the last thing here, and I think that they're trying to set up some sort of hospice situation. So we're going to get more details over the next day or two, but the last time I talked to him, that was what he conveyed. And I said, well, we all know God has the final say, and God's already turned a lot of things around. They've already said 2 or 3 times, that this is the way this is going to be. But in the end of it, we also understand that these bodies are not going to live forever. And, sometimes you look at things and you understand what we're facing up ahead. And the last time I spoke to him, he said that she had signed a DNR. Most of you know a DNR means do not resuscitate. So in other words, she's already let him know, if I'm going out, please don't disturb me. Just let me go on. Let me go on to be with the Lord. And I tell you something, folks. I've known a lot of times in cases over the years, when somebody signs a DNR, it may be a written statement, but a lot of times they've already made a mental statement within their self that says, you know what, I'm ready. This world doesn't have anything left for me. I'm ready. And when they get to that mental state, they've usually already crossed that spiritual place in their life that they just said, this world has nothing for me. I'm just ready. And if they've ever got to that place and they're a child of God, a lot of times whenever they start fighting and struggling, can't hardly breathe, they just go on to be with the Lord. And so I'm just telling you this morning that for Sister Charlotte, she is in a place where that potentially I wouldn't be surprised to get a phone call at any time, any minute, that she's already gone on to be with the Lord. And so for us that are here, that would be a sad thing to have her depart and leave us here. But we preach every Sunday morning. We preach other times during the week. We live this thing every single day, and we all know that this is coming. It's going to be here one day. It's going to be upon us. But the truth is, we can thank God that she is ready, and that's the most important thing of all. Live many years of her life for the Lord. And so this is what we all fight for, and this is what we all live for, is to be with the Lord. So keep her lifted up in prayer. And the Lord's perfect will, and Brother Ralph as well. Brother Ralph was explaining to me that, he has been wearied with all this back and forth. He had stayed, I think, 3 days in the hospital and hadn't been home in 3 days. And the last time I talked to him, Brother Ralph is just a very timid, kind of a frail man. He's not head and shoulders Samson kind of fella. And most of you know that. He's Ralph. But I don't know. Y'all have to pray for me, because sometimes I get aggravated with the way things and people do each other. And Brother Ralph accidentally called me. We were talking, and just a short time after, he was supposed to be headed home. He hadn't been home in 3 days. And I shared this with some folks last night. But I want you to lift him up in prayer because of this, because people take advantage of Brother Ralph because he's such a quiet, timid, kind of relaxed guy. And he accidentally dialed me, and he was in a parking garage or parking lot, I don't know. And I heard somebody in the background just giving him a fit. You can't this and blah, 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 just talking to him like a little child. And I thought to myself, the average person they wouldn't have talked to like that. But you can just tell when you talk to Brother Ralph, he's just laid back and very easygoing. So people take advantage of that. And that righteous indignation rose up within me, and I wanted to reach to the phone and grab somebody by the shirt and tell him, you leave Brother Ralph alone. You know what I mean? But all I can do is talk to the Lord. You know what I mean about that? So pray for him, because I just hate to see what he's going through. And most of you know he's got that sleep thing going on where he falls asleep. I worry about him falling asleep at some red light or something like that, or maybe, at an intersection. Sister Jackson. Yeah. Yes. Amen. Very, very sweet people. And I believe that the Lord knows that as well, and he's going to make sure and look after them, and I think he has for quite a long time. And so do remember them. And also, I know I'm spending a little time here, but all of these things are very important. I did tell Brother Ralph, I said, as much as you hate to do this, you and your wife are going to have to have that conversation.